The boy looked terrified. The whole person shrunk in a large metal cage. He didn't dare to step out of the cage. Suddenly, the cage itself moved and closed the door. Before he could react, the tail of the man slapped the cage directly. A 100-meter-long beast rushed out. He kept rolling the cage, waiting for his companions through the monitoring found to come. The iron dragon had fallen into the lake. Seeing the young man poking his head and struggling, the old hunter rushed to throw grenades. The crowd also had to shoot into the lake, but the beast had long disappeared. Seeing the guy in danger, the man Tim took the opportunity to save him from the water. But the disappearing beast quietly came to a camp. At this moment, reporter Ava came across the soldier stealing something. When the soldier saw that things had been exposed, he tore his disguise. With his own tall and strong body, he tried to force Ava. Suddenly, the giant beast rushed out and swallowed the soldier in one gulp. Ava took the opportunity to escape from the tent. She panicked and found Tim and his group. She told them about the beast's rampage in the camp. Tim also panicked when he heard that. He rushed back to the camp with the group. By then, the beast had disappeared, leaving only the wreckage behind. Tim realized they had to get out of here. This place had already been targeted by the beast. They were just a bunch of journalists. They couldn't feed the behemoths. A few days ago, the behemoths slaughtered 300 of the local residents and soldiers, and the news became a hot topic. Tim saw an opportunity in the news. By filming the capture on the ground, whatever was caught would become a hit with the behemoth. He convinced Ava to talk to the boss. The boss really believed him and promised to reimburse all the expenses. So Tim took his team to the war-torn Africa. They first came to the village where the behemoths were infested. The elders told them that the village legend said that the beast was called Gustave. He was a very vicious and cunning crocodile. He warned Tim that the trip would be dangerous. Tim scoffed at the idea. He would just stay for 3 days to catch something and leave. He built a 100-meter-long cage, according to the elders, and hired an experienced hunter. A group of people crossed the grassland to the lake. We began to set up carefully. Tim's pursuit was to reach the top of his life. But Tim never thought that only 2 days later, a giant crocodile really appeared and even killed people. Tim was thinking of retreating, but the soldier in charge of the escort did not want to do it. He shot the old hunter and wouldn't let anyone leave. He wanted to avenge his fellow soldiers. The soldier pushed the group towards the lake. He wanted to use them as bait to lure out the giant crocodile. Watching the soldier start to go crazy, a gunshot came and the soldier fell to the ground hard. The guy slowly walked out from behind. The boy's name was Tom. His parents were also killed by the beast, but he wasn't as paranoid as the soldier. Suddenly, the rain poured down. Tom took Tim and the others to a cabin by a lake to give the old hunter an injection of medicine to dress him. Tom looked around nervously. This was the nearest resting place nearby, but the giant crocodiles could easily attack them too. Ava was anxiously calling for helicopter support, but the helicopter wouldn't arrive until tomorrow at the earliest. In the meantime, they had to defend themselves against the beasts the old hunter wanted to give up to. Just then, there was movement in the water. The giant crocodile had spotted them. The men hurriedly grabbed their weapons and kept firing at the water, trying to scare the beasts away. The sound of gunfire was like a thunderclap in the water, but the beast did not leave. Tim stood on the bridge in the pouring rain. The companions anxiously asked him to come back. The next moment, the crocodile rammed the bridge and bit into the men. The wooden bridge looked fragile in the mouth of the giant crocodile. Tim fought his way over to the wooden house, but he still overestimated himself. The crocodile at this point chewed through the underwater support of the wooden house. He fell back into the water as the house tilted. The crocodile was still destroying the house. The crowd fell into the water. At the critical moment, the old hunter pulled out the grenade and sacrificed himself to scare off the crocodile. The crowd was saddened and relieved at the same time. They rested on the floor of the crumbling wooden house until daylight. At that moment, a support helicopter came to the area. Tim and the others hurriedly raised their hands and shouted. As they shouted, they rushed towards the helicopter. They couldn't wait to get out of here. But then something happened. The missile from nowhere scared the helicopter before it landed and ran off on its own. The curly-haired man still wanted to chase after it. An armed car rushed out and knocked him down. A group of armed men got out of the car and brutally killed the curly-haired man. They took out a rocket launcher from the car and fired at the crowd. The crowd had to run away in a panic. Facing the armed man, Tim told everyone to scatter and run away. The armed car chased him like a cat catching a mouse and changed direction from time to chase the others. In order to protect everyone, Tom took out a shotgun and shot the car window. This caused the armed men to fire at him repeatedly. Finally, Tom was shot in the right chest and fell into the lake. The militants were just about to be pleased when the armed car drove downhill and plunged his front end into the earth. One of the militants was thrown into a tree and died outright. The militant who was driving the car got out of the car. As he was about to kill Tom, Tim picked up his shotgun and pointed it at the militant, ordering him to drop his weapon. The militant was not afraid and directly confronted Tim, but Tim fired and found no bullets. The militant laughed. Without saying a word, he swung his machete at Tim. After 2 successive headbutts, Tim was defenseless. The militant kept stepping on Tim with force. Tim, who was in pain, saw the right moment and kicked the militant's calf. While the two were fighting, Ava picked up the shotgun. She skillfully loaded the ammunition and shot the militant, ending his life. They also escaped from the danger. Meanwhile, the cameraman ran off into a pool of water somewhere. He was unaware of the danger coming his way. At that moment, the 100-meter giant crocodile slowly emerged from the reeds. It opened its bloody mouth to the photographer, and a drop of blood slowly fell into the water. The crocodile rose up directly. The photographer also picked up the camera and ran at the same time. The crocodile was moving very fast. It kept chasing after the photographer. The crocodile opened its mouth and leapt forward, but got stuck in a tree. Looking at the crocodile, the photographer laughed and made a gesture. He ran away arrogantly and didn't even want to take the camera. Enraged by the provocation, the crocodile broke through the tree directly. The photographer ran forward desperately. The crocodile was in hot pursuit. The photographer suddenly tripped. When Tim came, he only found the camera on the ground. The photographer's figure had long disappeared. Tim lost his mind and rejoined Ava. The wounded Tom could not hold on and fell to his knees in pain. Tim did not know what to do. At that moment, Jack from the local army came over with his men. Tim hurriedly asked the soldiers to pick up Tom and put him into the car. Tim happened to look up and saw a necklace of animal teeth hanging on the rearview mirror. This necklace was exactly the same as the one worn by the village elders before. Tim was alerted. He closed the car door and turned around, and Jack was behind him. The soldiers next to him pointed their guns at Tim. Jack frankly told Tim what he was up to. It turned out that the armed men who attacked Tim and Jack were in cahoots. A few days ago, when the photographer was wandering around taking materials, he inadvertently captured images of the local army massacring innocent villagers, including the village where the elders were. The local army was afraid that the news would be exposed and came specifically to kill and silence them. At night, Jack brought Tim and Ava back to the lake. They boarded a kayak to look for a giant crocodile, intending to use it to kill the two. They found the crocodile's lair. Tim picked up a bone on the ground and stabbed the soldier when he wasn't looking. Ava also threw a bucket of oil on Jack and escaped. Jack decided to shoot at Ava and chased after her. Ava tried to escape, but fell into the pond by accident. Tim rushed over at that moment. Jack from behind fired a shot and wounded Tim in the thigh. Jack was so proud of himself that he planned to kill both of them, but the gun ran out of bullets. Just when Jack changed the ammunition, there was a sound behind him. Jack turned around to see a giant crocodile slowly crawling towards here. The ground trembled with every step. Jack was too scared to move. Suddenly, the crocodile's eyelids opened and rushed towards Jack. Jack was frightened and his feet were weak. Even though he was on his hands and knees, he couldn't escape from the giant crocodile's mouth and become a snack. Tim and Ava took this opportunity to run back to the car they came from. The crocodile also came after them. At that moment, Tim stepped on the gas and ran over the crocodile. Just as they are about to leave, the crocodile tears into the car, even piercing the roof. Tim pulled out his saber and stabbed the crocodile in the mouth. The crocodile stings. Tim took the opportunity to accelerate in gear and threw the crocodile out of the car. The car quickly took off, leaving the crocodile roaring in the same place. They finally escaped. In the end, Tim disclosed the evil deeds of the army and took Ava and Tom back to their own country to start a happy life.